I, 28M, finally asked my friend, 26F, to define our relationship after 2 years. Her response made me realize I need to step back. I'm a structural engineer specializing in bridge construction, and I've always been pretty straightforward in both my professional and personal life. But this situation with Leela has me second-guessing everything I thought I knew about relationships. We met at my buddy Brandon's housewarming party a year ago. Leela works in high-end event planning, the kind where she coordinates corporate retreats and charity galas. She's incredibly social, always knows what's happening around the city, and has this energy that draws people in. We connected immediately. Here's where it gets complicated. Over this year, we've essentially been functioning as a couple in every way except officially. I've met her parents 3 separate times, helped her move apartments twice. We're each other's automatic +1s to weddings, work events, family gatherings. She's been my date to my company's annual awards dinner, has met my sister multiple times, and even helped me pick out a birthday gift for my mom. We've taken weekend trips together. When my dad had his minor heart attack scare 6 months ago, she drove 3 hours with me to the hospital and stayed the whole weekend. But here's the thing that's been eating at me. We've never actually defined what this is. Never had the "what are we" conversation. Any time I'd start to bring it up, she'd smoothly change the subject or make some joke about how labels are overrated. I told myself she was just not big on traditional relationship milestones, or maybe we were taking things slow in a mature way. When friends would ask if we were dating, I'd give these vague non-answers because honestly, I had no idea what to tell them. The breaking point came last weekend at Brandon and Claire's 3rd anniversary dinner. 8 people total, all established couples except us. The conversation was flowing, everyone sharing relationship stories, and this woman Sarah, Claire's coworker, looked at Leela and me and said, "You two are so cute together. How long have you been dating?" Without missing a beat, Leela laughed and said, "Oh, we're not dating. Daniel's just my really good friend who happens to be male. We're like the perfect platonic relationship." The entire table went silent. I felt this wave of embarrassment and confusion wash over me. I managed to laugh it off in the moment, but inside I was reeling. After dinner, I suggested we take a walk around the neighborhood and finally said what I'd been thinking for months. "Leela, I need to ask you something directly. I care about you more than I think I've cared about anyone. This past year have been the best of my life, and I'd really love to know where you see this going between us." Her expression shifted immediately, not surprised exactly, more like she'd been dreading this conversation but knew it was inevitable. "Daniel, you know you're amazing, right? But I love what we have. We're best friends, we have this incredible connection. Why do we need to complicate it with relationship pressure and expectations?" I pushed a little more, asked if she could see us as something more than friends eventually. She sighed and said, I've seen what happens when people try to force friendships into romantic boxes. It ruins everything. This works perfectly, doesn't it? We have all the fun parts without any of the drama." That's when the reality hit me like a bridge cable snapping. For her, I'm providing all the emotional support, companionship, and reliability of a boyfriend, but she gets to keep her options completely open. I told her I needed some time to process this conversation. She looked genuinely surprised and maybe even a little hurt, saying, "Daniel, please don't overthink this. What we have is special." That was 5 days ago, and I've been doing serious soul searching. I realized I've been selling myself short in a major way. I'm 28 years old, I have a solid career, I own my own place, and I know how to treat someone well. I want a real relationship with someone who's genuinely excited about building a future together, not someone who wants to keep me in indefinite romantic limbo. I think I need to step back from this friendship entirely. Not because I'm angry or want to punish her, but because I deserve better than being someone's convenient emotional boyfriend while they keep shopping around for something better. Am I completely overreacting here? How do I handle this situation without creating drama in our mutual friend group, but also protecting my own emotional well-being? Update 1. First, Thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I took your collective advice and had an honest final conversation with Leela yesterday afternoon. I texted her Sunday asking if we could meet for coffee at our usual place, this little independent shop near her apartment where we'd spent countless Sunday mornings. I'd rehearsed what I wanted to say, determined to keep it simple, honest, and final. Leela, I started, I've been doing a lot of thinking since our conversation last week. I've realized that we want different things, and I need to be honest about that. I'm looking for a real relationship, exclusivity, commitment, someone excited about building a future together. You want to maintain what we have now, which is your right, but I can't keep emotionally investing in something that has no potential to grow into what I actually want. Her reaction was immediate and telling. She looked genuinely shocked, like the possibility that I might actually follow through had never occurred to her. Daniel, you're being so dramatic about this. We have something really special here. Why can't you just appreciate what we have instead of trying to force it into some traditional relationship box? Because what we have isn't enough for me anymore. I want to be with someone who's excited about the possibility of us, not someone who wants to keep me at arm's length indefinitely. She tried several different approaches to change my mind. First, she accused me of throwing away a meaningful friendship over semantics and labels. Then she shifted to saying that romantic relationships inevitably fail while good friendships last forever, so wasn't I being short-sighted? Finally, she suggested I was being unrealistic about love and romance, that what we had was actually more mature and evolved than traditional dating. The comment that really got to me was when she said, "You knew what this was from the beginning, Daniel. I never misled you." That stung because it made me question my own memory and judgment. But thinking about it later, I realized that no, I didn't even know what this was, and that was exactly the problem. When I told her I needed significant space to figure out my next steps, she shifted into what I now recognize as mild panic mode. She said I was being unfair, that she'd never promised me anything so I had no right to be upset. Which perfectly illustrated my point. I finally realized I want to be with someone who does want to promise me things, who's excited about making commitments and plans together. The conversation lasted about 45 minutes. We didn't end things with shouting or drama. I walked her to her car, told her genuinely that I hoped she'd find whatever makes her happy, and that I'd always value the good times we shared. She looked like she wanted to say something more but just nodded and drove away. It's been 4 days now, and I'm surprised by how I feel. Not happy exactly, but definitely relieved. Like I can finally stop mentally cycling through the same questions about where we stand and what our interactions mean. There's this sense of clarity I haven't had in months. Brandon texted me yesterday asking if everything was okay because Leela had called Claire pretty upset, saying I was throwing away our friendship over nothing. I gave him the basic situation. His response was illuminating. Honestly, man, we all assumed you two were together. This actually explains some things, like why Leela would get weird and change the subject whenever anyone mentioned you potentially dating other people. That observation hit me hard. Apparently, she'd been possessive enough about me that our mutual friends noticed, but simultaneously not committed enough to actually want to date me. She wanted the benefits of having me unavailable to other women without offering me the relationship I was looking for. I'm throwing myself into some positive changes. Got assigned to lead engineer on a major suspension bridge project starting next month, a huge career opportunity that'll require most of my focus for the next year. More importantly, I'm working on building a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for someone else to decide if I'm worth committing to. I'm 28 years old. I have a solid engineering career, my own place, good friends, and I know how to treat people with kindness and respect. I shouldn't have to spend time convincing someone that I'm worth taking a chance on. Edit. Someone asked about mutual friends and whether this creates drama. Brandon and Claire have been understanding so far. They said they're not taking sides, but they also mentioned they're not surprised this happened. Apparently, several people in our friend group had wondered why we never actually got together officially. Update 2. Hey everyone, it's been about 8 months since I stepped back from my undefined relationship with Leela. The transformation has been remarkable. I took all your advice about investing in my own interests and goals. I got promoted to lead engineer on a major suspension bridge project that's been incredibly fulfilling professionally. I also started volunteering with Engineers Without Borders, helping design and build footbridges in rural communities. It's exactly the kind of meaningful work I'd always wanted to do, but never made time for when I was so focused on managing an undefined relationship. 3 months ago, I met Naomi, and everything about dating finally makes sense in a way it never did before. We met at a community art exhibition where I was volunteering to help with setup logistics. The event was showcasing local artists alongside high school art students, and Naomi was there as one of the coordinating teachers. Some of her students had pieces in the show. We started talking when she noticed me carefully adjusting the lighting on one of her student sculptures. Instead of small talk, she asked genuinely thoughtful questions about the structural considerations for hanging the heavier pieces and the engineering behind the gallery's architecture. I was immediately struck by how present and engaged she was. Not politely interested the way people sometimes are when they're trying to be nice, actually curious and insightful. We ended up talking for 2 hours after the exhibition ended, sitting in the gallery parking lot discussing everything from the mathematical principles in art to our shared concern about infrastructure funding. When she had to leave, she asked for my number and suggested we continue the conversation over coffee. Our first real date was 3 days later. Over dinner, she told me she'd looked up some of my bridge projects online and was genuinely impressed by the environmental considerations in my designs. I'd never had someone take that kind of active interest in my work before. After our third date, Naomi said something that floored me. "I really like you, Daniel. I'd love to be exclusive and see where this goes, and I'm excited to introduce you to my friends and colleagues as my boyfriend." Just like that. No games, no ambiguity, no months of wondering where I stood. The contrast with my situation with Leela couldn't be more stark. Naomi is direct about what she wants, enthusiastic about our future possibilities, and treats our relationship like something she's genuinely excited to build together. Within a month, I'd met her teacher colleagues, her close friends, even her parents over video calls since they live in Portland. We make plans together, actual future plans. She talks about our relationship like it's something valuable that she wants to nurture and grow. But here's where the situation gets complicated. Leela has started inserting herself back into my life, and her behavior is becoming problematic. For the first few months after our conversation, she respected the space I'd requested. I'd hear through Brandon and Claire that she was doing well, dating casually, seemed to be handling our friendship break without drama. But about 6 weeks ago, she started showing up to group events again. The first time was Brandon and Claire's Memorial Day barbecue. I'd brought Naomi as my official +1, looking forward to introducing her to my close friends. When we arrived, Leela was already there. The initial interaction was awkward but manageable. Leela was polite to Naomi, made appropriate small talk, seemed to be making an effort to be normal. But as the evening progressed, I noticed a pattern of behavior that made me uncomfortable. She kept steering conversations toward shared memories that excluded Naomi. "Daniel, remember when we got completely lost trying to find that underground speakeasy in Brooklyn? Oh, Daniel makes the most amazing pancakes from scratch. I'm sure he's mentioned his secret ingredient technique." Little comments designed to establish that she and I had this deep shared history that Naomi couldn't access. Naomi handled it perfectly. She was friendly and engaging but didn't take the bait when Leela tried to make her feel like an outsider. After we left, she said something that really impressed me. That was Leela, right? She seems possessive for someone who chose to keep things as just friends. The second incident was worse. 2 weeks ago, we went to Claire's birthday dinner at this upscale Italian place downtown. 8 people total, all established couples except Leela, who showed up alone claiming her date had canceled last minute due to work emergency. Somehow, she managed to maneuver herself into the seat directly next to me, which meant Naomi ended up across the table. Throughout the entire dinner, Leela dominated my attention with work-related conversations that deliberately excluded Naomi, asking detailed questions about my bridge project timeline, bringing up mutual professional contacts, discussing industry conferences we'd attended together. At one point, she said, "Daniel, you should tell everyone about that time we drove all the way to Vermont just to try that famous maple syrup farm." When I didn't respond with the enthusiasm she was clearly expecting, she added, "We used to do the most random road trips together. It was like having a permanent adventure buddy." I could see Naomi registering the dynamic but staying gracefully above it. Later, she told me it felt like Leela was trying to prove she and I had some deeper, more intimate connection than what Naomi and I were building together. Which is ironic, because what Leela and I had was specifically not deep or intimate. It was surface-level companionship without real commitment or vulnerability. The breaking point came this past Tuesday when Leela texted me directly for the first time since our coffee shop conversation 8 months ago. "I really miss our friendship, Daniel. I think there might have been some misunderstandings about what I meant that day. Could we grab coffee sometime soon and talk? I'd love to clear the air." I immediately showed the text to Naomi. Her response was measured and mature. "I trust you completely, but I think she's testing boundaries right now. You should do whatever feels right to you, but remember what made you step back from that friendship in the first place." Naomi was absolutely right. Leela had a whole year to define our relationship and chose to keep it in indefinite limbo. I chose to move on and build something real with someone else. Now that I'm genuinely happy and settled with Naomi, Leela suddenly wants to renegotiate the terms of our connection. I decided not to respond to the text message. Instead, I'm focusing my energy on planning something special for Naomi's upcoming birthday. I want to surprise her with a weekend trip to the rural community where we'll be running our collaborative art workshop next month. She's been so excited about the project, researching local artistic traditions and thinking about how to incorporate them into her curriculum. But I need advice on how to handle the Leela situation long term. Brandon and Claire are genuinely close mutual friends, so I'll inevitably keep encountering her at group events. I don't want to create unnecessary drama or force people to choose sides, but I also won't tolerate behavior that undermines my relationship with Naomi. How do I maintain clear boundaries without being unnecessarily confrontational about it? Final update. Holy shit, guys. I can't believe I'm actually typing this, but I'm engaged to the most amazing woman I've ever met. It's been almost a year since I stepped back from my emotionally confusing situationship with Leela, and 10th month since I started dating Naomi. This past Saturday, I proposed to her in what I think was the perfect moment for both of us. Naomi was organizing a major community art exhibition at the Downtown Cultural Center, a collaborative showcase featuring work from her high school students alongside pieces from established local artists. The project had been her passion for the better part of 6 months. Her goal was to give her students a genuine professional platform while creating meaningful intergenerational artistic dialogue in our community. The week before the opening, I contacted the Cultural Center's director and arranged to have a microphone available at the end of the evening's program. I'd also been working with a vintage jewelry dealer in the city to find the perfect ring, a 1940s emerald-cut solitaire with small accent diamonds, elegant and classic without being flashy. It took about 2 months of my salary, but it felt absolutely right. The opening night was incredible. The gallery was packed with families, local art collectors, school administrators, and community members. Naomi was in her element, introducing everyone to her students, explaining their artistic techniques and conceptual inspirations. Watching her pride in her students' achievements made me fall in love with her all over again. When she finished her formal curator's remarks around 9 p.m., I stepped forward and asked if I could say something. She looked confused but was smiling, probably thinking I was going to make some supportive comment about the exhibition. "Before we close this amazing evening," I said into the microphone, "I want to say something about the woman who made all of this possible." I looked directly at Naomi. "Naomi, over the past 8 months, you've shown me what it means to truly build something meaningful together. You've made me a better person, a better partner, and you've demonstrated what real partnership actually looks like." The gallery was starting to quiet down. I got down on one knee right there in front of the main installation. "Will you marry me?" The entire gallery erupted. Her students were screaming with excitement, parents were crying, even the typically reserved art collectors were applauding enthusiastically. Naomi said yes immediately, and her first words after yes were, "I can't believe you did this at my exhibition." She was laughing and crying simultaneously, and I could see how perfect the moment felt for both of us. We spent the next hour celebrating with everyone at the gallery, taking pictures with her students, accepting congratulations from people we'd never met who just witnessed our engagement. Here's where the Leela situation reaches its final, predictable conclusion. She wasn't at the gallery opening, but news travels fast in our interconnected friend group. Sunday afternoon, I received a long text message from Leela. I'm not going to share the entire thing because it's honestly painful to read, but the highlights were, she'd always thought we'd eventually figure things out between us. She felt like I'd moved incredibly fast with Naomi and wondered if I was rushing into something. She wanted me to know she was genuinely happy for me, but also sad for what we lost. She asked if we could meet in person because she had important things she needed to say before I got married. The message was long, rambling, and full of implications that she'd been holding onto romantic feelings this entire time while simultaneously refusing to commit to anything real when I'd given her the opportunity. I responded to Leela with a brief, polite message. "Thank you for the congratulations. I'm happy with my choices and excited about my future with Naomi. I hope you find what you're looking for." Then I blocked her number and blocked her on all social media platforms. I'm completely done managing her feelings about my life decisions. Naomi and I also made a mutual decision. We're not including Leela in our wedding celebration. I know this might create some temporary awkwardness with Brandon and Claire, but we want our wedding to be about celebrating our future together, not navigating someone else's unresolved feelings about the past. The wedding is planned for next October. We're doing it outdoors at a vineyard in the Hudson Valley, intimate ceremony with close family and friends. Naomi wants to write our own vows, and we're both excited about planning something that reflects who we are as individuals and as a couple. We're also planning a honeymoon that combines her love of art museums with my interest in visiting innovative bridge designs, 2 weeks in Europe hitting both galleries and architectural sites. The difference between being someone's convenient option and being someone's enthusiastic choice is absolutely life-changing. I wish I'd learned that lesson years earlier, but I'm grateful I figured it out when I did. Edit. Thank you everyone for the overwhelming congratulations. I know 10th months might seem fast to some people, but when you've experienced an undefined relationship for a whole year, you develop a really clear sense of what genuine commitment looks like. A few people have asked what happened to Leela after I blocked her. According to Claire, she's been continuing to show up to group events alone, and she's been making subtle comments about how some people just move too quickly, and meaningful relationships take time to develop properly. I'm incredibly glad I stepped back when I did. Her behavior throughout this entire process has confirmed that she viewed me as a backup plan rather than a real romantic prospect.